Well, good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well where you are, and hopefully you have good weather, and more importantly, that you have good health during these challenging times. And welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dune and Friends. My name is Dune Wynn, and today we have a fantastic and fun-loving and just wonderful guest joining us from. I think it's the big metropolis of Canmore, Alberta. And we have Michael Kerr joining us today. So let me do a quick introduction of our guest before having us him join us for an hour and a bit here, probably an hour today. And feel free to provide your comments and questions along the way, folks, if you are viewing this out there on internet land, on Facebook Live there. And so let me do a quick introduction here. Michael Kerr is a Canadian Hall of Fame business speaker who, in ordinary times, travel the world researching, writing, and speaking about inspiring workplace cultures that rock and businesses that leverage their human resources to drive outrageous results. Michael's idea on building inspiring workplaces have been featured in hundreds of publications worldwide, while his Inspiring Workplaces blog has been listed as one of the top 75 workplace blogs in the world. Now, Michael is also an author of 8 books, including The Humor Advantage, Why Some Businesses Are Laughing All the Way to the Bank, Hire, Inspired, and Fuel Their Fire, as well as The Jerk-Free Workplace, How to Lead When You're Not the Boss. With that brief but wonderful introduction, friends, help me in welcoming our wonderful guest, Michael Kerr. Michael, how are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, are we doing this now?
Yeah, we're doing it now.
I was just reading this book. I was engrossed in this brilliant book called The Human Advantage. How you doing, Dune?
I'm well. What book was that? Could you hold it up a little higher so we can see?
It's called, the author is Michael Kerr, I think you pronounce his name. It's called The Humor Advantage, Why Some Businesses Are Laughing All the Way to the Bank. Mm-hmm. It's gold, Dune. It's
wonderful.
May humbly say so.
I was going to say platinum, but
platinum.
Yeah.
Even better.
Even better. Hey, Michael, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Did I?
You did. You nailed it. You nailed it so much better than most of my clients do. Hey, Dune, I had this brilliant idea while I was training. I was thinking, just to mix things up, you know, I know you're rocking it with this show here, but I think we should just eat our lunch for an hour and not say anything.
And that would be cool.
Wouldn't it? And every week we come back every Thursday and we just do that. And I bet you anything that would go viral. Within a couple months, we'd have 50 million people just watching these two guys sit and eat lunch. And
well, you know, I came somewhat ill prepared. I got peanuts that had already been eaten here. So it's all gone. See there? That was from last night.
You're ahead of me. I think that idea would work. I think you should think about that. Put that under your hat.
Yeah, well, do you think Seinfeld's going to go after us with a show about nothing kind of thing?
It does seem a little Seinfeldian, yes. It's a little show about, absolutely nothing. We're just going to spend an hour doing nothing.
Oh, wow. So, given that idea, maybe we'll sprinkle some of that in terms of, I have I don't know about you, but I have my orange juice here. See that?
I'm kind of boring. I've got water.
So tell us a bit more, my friend. Tell us, you have a long, illustrious career. You're world-renowned, but tell us about how you got here. And we'll talk about COVID and everything like that and how it how you're navigating that. But maybe give us an expanded intro into the things that you've done in your past life and your current focus.
Yeah, well, I started my business over 20 years ago now, so I am getting old. I started my business when, in a former lifetime, I was a senior communications manager, and I was working in an organization where I realized I was having a lot, and I got to do it. I was just having so many of these bad, horrific hair days and too many hair days to survive and go on. It was how do I put this politely, a soul-sucking, fun-sucking, Dilbert-like work environment where I was losing my sense of humor. I wasn't having fun anymore. I wasn't dancing naked in front of the mirror anymore. And I remember this turning point where I talked to a colleague who I always thought of as being the most optimistic, the most positive kind of Mary Poppins person on our team. And I said, hey, do you think things are going to get better? And she looked at me, and all of a sudden this cloud crossed her face, and she said, no, they will never get better. And I realized that was the point where I thought, okay, I have to do something different with my life because I didn't want to have more bad hair days. And I decided to leave and start this business and make it my mission. And that's why I talk about what I talk about and write about what I write about, to make it my mission to talk about how work should not be sucking the life out of us. Work should not be sucking the fun out of us. Work is too important part of our lives. So I decided to make it my mission to start this business and talk about how we should be creating inspiring, more humane, more service-oriented, productive, innovative, rocking workplaces.
Woo, awesome.
Yeah, now I have to fix my hair.
Now, while you're doing that, let me ask you, you started off with that kind of phrase that you blur off really quickly, frankly, taking quite a risk that you might just have a tongue twister happening there. And can you do that again? Is that something that you're willing to, what was that phrase again?
The fun-sucking, the fun-sucking, soul-sucking, Dilbert-like workplace. I was speaking to about 1,500 people at a keynote once, where the one and only time I used that phrase where I did in fact have a little tongue twist. Yeah. And I punched the line with those letters transposed. And there was this dead silence from the audience for about 3 beats, and then the whole place erupted in laughter, thankfully.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. You do have to be careful.
You're taking big risks there, my friend. Big risks there, but yeah, wonderful. Now, so you're based out of Canmore. When did you move there? Were you in Calgary before that, or?
I was not. I'm a BC boy. I grew up in beautiful Penticton, BC. I lived in Vancouver. I came out to the beautiful Canadian Rockies to work as a park naturalist in the flagship national park, Banff National Park. Mm-hmm. I lived in Lake Louise for 5 years. Up the Icefields Parkway, I lived in Banff National Park. I used to do guided hikes. I used to do a lot of the training for the interpretive naturalist programs. I used to do talks at the outdoor amphitheaters and campgrounds where you'd have 500 people show up, and some of them would be drunk and some of them would be toddlers coming up halfway through your talk, and there would be elk mating over here while you're doing your talk. So you had to learn to go with the flow and think on your feet.
Yeah. So I just want to highlight for our viewers, you really transform purposefully and quite successfully, really successfully, from really the corporate job, the corporate kind of management job and whatnot. And others might imagine a career climbing those ladders. At some point, you had that epiphany where you said, I'm not going to climb that ladder. I'm going to create my own ladder, is what you've done, my friend. You created your own ladder. Now, I would love to share with our viewers early on the ladder that you've been building, and I'm referring to your website, one of your websites, Humor at Work. Tell us about that, and we're going to go there, and we're going to maybe take a look at a couple of videos of you in action.
Well, won't that be delightful to watch myself in action? That's something I enjoy doing on a daily basis. My website, I should warn people, my website is being overhauled almost as we speak. So it will be a brand new website, hopefully at the start of next year. A massive overhaul that I'm doing. But anyways, yes. My website is a beast. All sorts of videos and articles and resources for people who want to create a more rocking, inspiring workplace.
Cool. Now, you used the term rocking. Are you into music there, my friend, as well? Or?
I do enjoy music, as I know you do, Dune. Of course I enjoy music.
We have lots of musicians tuning into this broadcast as well. And so let's let's hit play on maybe this first video here that happened to be.
Hey, why don't we go down and why don't we go drop down on the home page there? There's a section of videos, Dune.
Yeah.
Why don't we go down? Why don't we just to open off with a little bit of fun, because this is maybe go up. Where are oh, how come it's not loading properly? Go down again. Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem with my website. There we go, videos, but they're not loading. They didn't load properly.
I'm just going to reload and see.
Okay. I was going to do the let's open with the fun dancers for a little bit of fun.
Yeah. Do you have?
But if you can't get it, we'll just go to the other video.
Yeah. Okay, give me a second though.
Meanwhile, in internet land, for those of you there, just talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. As far as why that video.
There we go. The fun dancer. There it is.
Okay.
That's Canmore right there, downtown Canmore, with my buddy Sean.
Let's take a look.
We can actually talk over this, Dune, because there's this music. This was a goofy video I did. Boy, look at my hair. You can tell it was a long time ago. I think it's getting close to 17, 18 years old now, to talk about the end result of how you should feel if you work in a truly walking workplace. That it should make you dance. You should wake up, go to your phone mirror, and do the fun dance naked in front of the mirror. I think it's lagging a little bit here. Why don't we stop it, Dune, here?
Yeah, it's okay for the viewers. The lagging might be on your side there, Mike, but yeah, you bet we're gonna just.
Honey, I'm home.
Yeah, so that was how long ago did you say that was?
Oh boy, that was like 17 or 18 years ago. And then sometimes I would customize it for different presentations to talk about a specific group. But it was fun making that video with my brilliant friend Tony Reno from Calgary, and I almost got killed. If you watch it closely, when it plays properly, if you watch it closely, there's a scene where I run out in front of a taxi cab and the taxi starts moving, and he almost clips me. So I almost died in the spirit of doing something goofy. Which, if you're gonna die, I suppose that's one way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I want to look at the website a bit further here. So tell us about maybe we're gonna run this video here, Mike, the one that I was thinking of clicking on earlier.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
I don't hear any sound, Dune.
Okay, I will correct that. Thank you.
What would you rather have? The same level of success and less fun, or the same level of success and at least a little bit more of this in your workplace? So I'm going down to the gym and I encounter this cleaning lady, a chambermaid. This woman exceeded my expectations of good customer service. She gave me the most frightening, flirtatious smile I've had in years, looked me up and down, poked me in the stomach, and said, "You don't need a fitness facility, honey." I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm in love with this woman. Hi, my name is Michael Kerr. I'm an international business speaker who travels the world researching, writing, and speaking about inspiring leaders, inspiring workplaces, and businesses that leverage their human resources to drive outrageous results. So you need to facilitate, however you can, having conversations in your workplace, because we know it is a key driver of success. If you want to make a substantial shift in your culture, and if you want to improve the communication in your culture, one of the simplest things you can do, I am a huge fan of daily team huddles. When we were leaving, he stood in the parking lot and waved to us like this as we're leaving. He actually came out on to the side of the road as we're driving down the road and waved to us the whole time. My wife was in the car going, is he still there? Is he still there? And I'm looking in the mirror, yeah, he's still there. Just waving until we were out of sight. Now, talk about a series of just extra inch things that gentleman did to wow us with their customer service.
Fantastic. Tell us, my friend, I'm going to surprise you a little bit. And well, maybe but before I do that, anything to add to that video there as you were watching yourself in action there, my friend?
I do not. I'm a little nervous about the surprise. Is this going to be like this is your life? You have a guest? You have a long lost relative of mine that I never met. This is so exciting.
Yeah. No, it's not that exciting. Oh, maybe it's more exciting. You get to choose, my friend. You get to co-create here. So my surprise is to ask you, of all of the fun and humorous and presentations where you make people laugh and laugh out loud, frankly, in the audience, is there a story of perhaps a blooper story beyond the one that you shared at the beginning there?
Oops. Like that kind of blooper? You mean one of these where I did one of these bonehead kind of things? How much time do we have, Dune?
We have lots of time. So tell us, do you have a story where things didn't quite go as planned, or anything like that might be of interest? Or
yes, I have dozens. I've done it all. I fell, well, actually in your home city, I fell off a stage at a safety awareness conference. Safety awareness. I was the opening keynote speaker. I fell off the stage the one and only time. I had a line already in my back pocket that some speakers probably already know, and I wasn't hurt at all. The audience was a little freaked out, naturally, but I rolled onto my back. I simply leaned into the lavalier microphone and said, "I'll now be taking questions from the floor." So there's those kind of mishaps that happen. There's the time. One really kind of cringy one I could share with you is I was after I did a keynote presentation, I was doing some emceeing for them as well at this event, and we were giving away door prizes, whole bunch of door prizes, very fast paced, about 200 people in the audience, and this lovely young Asian woman comes up from the far back reaches of the audience, gets the prize. She goes and sits down. We do the next draw. This lovely young Asian woman from the same region of the audience comes up to the stage to get her prize. And if I could have sucked the words back in, of course I would have done this. But as she's coming up on stage, I looked at her and said, "Didn't you already win the prize before?" And the whole audience cringed. And I've never seen 200 people in unison go, oh, he is so white. Because of course she did not really look at all like the other young woman, and in fact they had fun with it. Thankfully, she ran up from the audience. The two of them stood side by side to demonstrate that I was a complete idiot.
Can I vouch for you, my friend? Can I vouch for you, that phenomenon?
Yes.
Okay. I came to Canada back in 1983 from 2 refugee camps, and into Canada. Here I am. Never really spoken English before, so learning English. 2 phenomenons I've noticed right away is that you guys all talk so fast. It's like 100 miles an hour with your speaking. And the other phenomenon is that you all look the same to me. So I empathize, is what I'm saying.
Totally, I totally get that. Yeah, so it's you got to go with the punches in this crazy business when you're speaking in front of live human beings. And you got 1,000 eyeballs watching you. You never know what can go wrong.
Yeah, we're human beings. We're doing our best to give them the best value, and there's a lot of moving parts when you're live. And
exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts. Do you want to hear my one that still gives me sweats in the middle of the night? I was speaking at an after dinner event, and I predicted this 2 days in advance. It was because the Montreal Canadiens had pushed a playoff series into Game 7. This was to a large blue collar crowd of primarily men that I was speaking to, and I immediately contacted the organizer and I said, I think we've got a problem here. These guys are going to want to watch the hockey game. They don't want to listen to me. She said, no, it's not an issue. It's going to be fine. So I get to the event. They jerry-rigged this giant screen up on stage so that they could show the Montreal Canadiens game because they wanted to watch the game. And I still was sweating bullets saying, we gotta mix things up here. Like, why don't I cut my talk down to just speak between the hockey periods? I'll break it up and I'll just speak for 15 minutes at a time between the two hockey periods.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't go over either. So unbeknownst to me, some person who I hadn't met yet at all during this evening, all of a sudden, halfway through the hockey game, stops the hockey game and starts introducing me. And I'm not even ready to go. So I'm scrambling to get my mic on. I leap up onto stage to the sound of immense booing and heckling and jeering. Booing as he's finishing my introduction. I was thinking, well, this is new. I've been booed, once I'm finished. I understand that, right? But no, I haven't even spoken yet and they're booing me. This was horrible. So suffice it to say, this cringe-inducing experience lasted, I was supposed to speak for an hour. I spoke for about 6 minutes and said, good night, everyone. Put on the hockey game.
Well, that reminds me of as musicians, sometimes we play in venues that have, a hockey game on and then a playoff or whatever. It's a very dubious thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a whole other side of this business, right? Is the weird locations you end up speaking where you go, really, this is the venue. I once spoke a gazillion years ago in Hawaii across a swimming pool from my audience. So my audience was on the other side of a swimming pool. Who's the genius who planned this venue? And let me tell you, I was drowning. I should have been in the pool because that was not an easy situation.
So in case like that, if they were to jump into the pool, you're wondering, are they happy or sad or angry?
I should have, in retrospect, jumped into the pool.
Yeah. I'd love to play another clip. There's a clip here that says "Funny business speaker, humor at work." It's on your website. Is that something that you wouldn't mind?
It says "Funny business speaker." I've probably stolen one of my colleagues' videos. Let's just play the first part of it.
You bet. I want to play that. I want to, because you have some props there that looks like fun.
I use a lot of props, Dune.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, we have the average size head of Homo speakerus. And of course, this is what the audience thinks of us when our head becomes this large. It's pretty much, like that. I thought it would be way more dramatic than that. I have the great privilege of traveling all over the world, researching, writing, and speaking about workplaces that rock. And some of the examples I come across are just these tiny little gems, like this children's hospital in London, England, where the window washers dress up as superheroes. You have to be intentional about it. You can't go buy your culture at Costco. Even if you did, it would be too big and you wouldn't know where to put it. Have any of you ever just waved the white flag in the morning? You didn't know. I'm done. And so you don't even bother to have a shower anymore, right? You just kind of stagger into your bathroom where you give yourself a wet sponge bath using a few damp pieces of toilet paper. The second part of the equation, of course, when we talk about an inspiring culture, is that we have to talk about our values. And then you get the executive team together and you hold hands and you sing "We Are the World." Actions speak louder than words and talk is cheap. Who is going to disagree with any of your wonderful values? Yeah, teamwork? Yeah, not really for me. I mean, is there anybody here in this room at any point in your life when you applied for a job said during the job interview, "I want you to know I'm not a team player"?
So tell me, my friend, how do you prepare for, just as you're walking on stage doing these things, obviously the props are already set up in place. Is there anything that you go through your mind in your prep prior to your showtime?
Yeah, several things. Whenever I can, I try to meet audience members, and it's, of course, it's not always possible to do that, but most of the time it is. And I like to wade into the audience, get to know people, not necessarily telling them that I am the speaker about to come up, because you get better intel when you don't tell them you're the speaker. So I love to go to the back of rooms and connect with people there and see if I can get any good intel. I always make it a point, whenever possible, to go and speak to the meanest looking people in the room, the people who look like they eat small children for breakfast, because I want them to become friends with me, and I want to know that they're really actually human and not so scary. So that's kind of one of my rituals I do. In terms of mental preparation, one simple mantra that I have is, I just remind myself, I'm just here to have a conversation with a nice group of people, and I need to have fun. The moment I stop having fun, the audience stops having fun. And I really needed to remember that. That opening clip with me blowing up the balloon, that was from a talk I did at NSA on the main stage, the National Speakers Association. Pretty nerve-wracking gig. You're speaking in front of over 1,000 of your peers. I was making jokes in that talk about how sometimes we can be a little judgmental with each other. So in order to help me with my own fear, and back to your question about preparation, I thought, I've got to nail the opening of this. I've got to come out just not only to hit the ground running, but to calm my nerves too, right? That was probably the most nervous I've ever been doing a talk, frankly. So I thought of this very simple idea. I'm going to come out and I'm going to flip and this is a simple way to find humor in any situation. Just look at the situation from the opposite perspective. So my opening line when I came out was, "Wow, you guys must be so nervous speaking at a speakers convention. But I want you to know, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to compare you to other audiences. I'm not going to go to the other speakers in the washroom and talk about how much you sucked as an audience." And so that got a lot of laughs, thankfully, and it calmed my nerves. And then I eventually went into that balloon thing, because I like to use a lot of props. I like to be visual. So I thought, well, what's a very simple way that I can get across the concept of speakers taking themselves too darn seriously and getting too big an ego, and how that ego gets in the way of our business? So I just, of course, landed on the simple idea of just using a balloon here to blow up to a normal Homo sapiens head size, versus a speaker after they start getting standing ovation and earning all those rave reviews.
Very cool. So you disarmed the situation early on, and as they say in humor, that there's the element of surprise is the key thing. And I think you surprised them how you started that, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I know that you also do a lot of training. Tell us about the training, and is it increasing, my friend, or what's your vision with that?
Yeah, well, I've been moving towards a lot of, and I've got a big plan for more online courses. I've always done a lot of training. I've done keynoting as well as training, sometimes multi-day training even. I am a hardcore content speaker. I just deliver my content in a very, hopefully, fun, high energy, engaging way. But I honestly believe that you don't have to choose between those two things. It doesn't have to be entertainment, fun, or great content and great ideas. The fun, the humor is just the way of delivering that content. So I love doing training. I love doing the training because you get more time with people, right? You get to go more in depth and peel back the onions more, the layer of the onions more. So one of the big things in terms of my online course is I did create last year a massive beast of an online course, my Culture Leadership Academy. So maybe we could bring that up, Dune. So this is a big project. It is a 12-module. This is sort of my vault, I'm calling it. The other online courses I'm working on are going to be more niche topics, much smaller in scale. This is my vault that kind of contains everything, where people have access to all of my ebooks, PDF files, and 12 video-based modules with short micro video lessons ranging in lengths from 2 minutes to, I think the longest, I have the occasional one at 15 minutes, but most of them are sort of 5 to 10 minutes, on all aspects of culture leadership. So it's aimed at anybody in an organization, not just necessarily senior leaders and supervisors, but culture champions. And really, my honest belief is that the more people you get trained on the importance of culture and being intentional about culture, the better your chances of rocking your culture. I do like that word rocking a lot, don't I? But the better the chances you have of really making a substantial shift in your culture. So that's the Culture Leadership Academy. It's based, as all my stuff is too, it's based on a lot of research. I do a lot of research, and I do a lot of research by going into companies, Dune. That's one of my favorite parts of my job too. I've actually, with my wife, we have actually made holidays out of doing research. So for example, we did a fabulous work vacation in Denmark and Sweden, where I met with a whole whack of different companies and CEOs and leaders that were doing really, really cool things in their organizations. So wherever I go to speak, I almost always try to find a business that is doing something pretty unique or interesting or fun, and interview some of the key people in that organization to get these great stories, so that my content is grounded very much in reality. And people really like that, right? They like seeing that this isn't just theoretical, this stuff we're talking about. This actually works. Companies are doing this, and they're not only doing this, they're driving incredible results.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, we have a comment from one of our viewers here, Lynn Schwill, a great blues singer, and she said, I don't find humor on purpose is easy at all. So hats off to you, Michael, for to be so good at this, and quite a feat.
Well, thank you, Lynn. Thank you. You know, and people ask me often, right? Well, or they'll make the comment, I just don't have a good sense of humor. I really struggle with it. I get that from a lot of leaders and stuff. And I want to remind people that, everybody has a sense of humor. Everybody has a natural sense of humor. It's really just about being your true, authentic self, and for me, as much as anybody, it's also practice, right? I mean, I've been at this for a long time. I practiced looking at the world in a strange way. Mm-hmm. I've practiced writing in a funny way. And so, like any other skill, I think you can develop it. You can learn it. But again, and certainly one thing I stress is that having a sense of humor isn't about telling jokes or being a comedian or just reeling off one-liners. It's much bigger than that, right? It's about having a sense of balance and just a sense of humanity and perception of the world around us. It's how we see the world around us. It's about taking things lightly that we can't control, especially, this is such an important message that I talk about all the time, is it's about taking ourselves less seriously. Is it not a truism, Dune, after all, that the more seriously a person takes themselves, the less seriously we tend to take a person? Yeah. Which is ironic, right? Because those people take themselves so bloody seriously in the hopes that I want to be taken seriously. And the truth is, we're not taking you seriously at all because you're such a tight you know what. So it's about lightening up. And Dune, this has been studied. I belong to something called the International Group of Humor Studies, and I remember coming across this study years ago where they suggested that you could grow your sense of humor by practicing looking for the accidentally funny stuff in the world. That helps you see things in a different way, right? In a not direct, linear way. So the unintentionally funny stuff, the stuff that isn't funny until you pause for a few seconds and do the quizzical golden retriever kind of thing where you think about it and go, okay, that's a little weird. So I've always kept an accidentally funny humor file, even back in previous jobs, like the time I was working for the government, and somebody from Ottawa phoned me up doing a survey, and she asked me this rather weird question. She said, "Mr. Kerr, I need to know the number of people in your department broken down by sex. And I paused for a few seconds on the phone, and then I said, I don't think I'm allowed to ask that question. I think HR will get after me if I start prying into people's sex lives.
Yeah, or you may say, yeah. So tell us, as you navigate COVID here, what are your thoughts on, from your perspective, of course, being in Canmore, I don't know, is that... It's just as rosier over in Canmore, my friend, than it is in maybe Edmonton or Calgary, Alberta.
Is it rosier? Well, yeah. Yes, just because it is Canmore, it's always rosier. So I'm gonna show my Canmore pride here. It's a spectacular, inspiring place. So if you have to be sort of pandemic bound for a while, Canmore's a pretty awesome place to be stuck. You know, we've got these amazing views, and it's an amazing community. So. But you know, everybody's impacted. Everybody around the world. We're no different. I know there's lots of businesses in Canmore that are struggling. There are people struggling with this. We passed a few weeks ago, the Canmore Town Council, a mask bylaw. So we're masking up in Canmore, and I think people are being pretty good about their behavior when it comes to COVID and doing the things that we all need to do as responsible citizens to help each other and take care of each other and support each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on a personal level, I believe you're writing another book. Is that right?
I am. Well, and it's yeah, you've already actually have it on the banner because I'm already starting to promote it. I'm finished writing it. It's just going now to the final proof reader and design stage, but it's called The Jerk-Free Workplace. And the working subtitle is How to Lead When You're Not the Boss. So it's very much aimed at frontline employees who aren't typically in a managerial supervisory position, but who can still have a huge impact on their environment in the workplace and their culture, and who can step up as leaders. So it's a reminder of all those things that we don't want to be doing at work that might be considered jerk-like behavior. And then moving along a spectrum from that, you know, away from the jerkiness spectrum towards being an actual leader, recognizing that true leadership has nothing to do with position or power or your job title, that everybody has the capability of being more of a leader on their team.
Absolutely. Now, Lynn chimed in again. She was just in Canmore, and she concurred that it's rosier. So
it is, Lynn. It's very rosier. Yes.
Yeah. So tell us, my friend, in all of the work that you've done with culture, and if somebody who is somewhat not familiar with the work in culture, what would be one or two or three key points that you want to bring out about culture and culture development?
Yeah, well, let's start by just how I define it. I mean, culture to me is just simply not the what you do, but the how you do. It's your DNA. It's the unique set of rituals, values, traditions, behaviors that make your organization, and different than everyone else. And one of the things I stress, if you want to get it right with your culture, because everybody, I think, talks about the importance of culture. You're not going to find a leader on the planet who's going to get up in front of their people and say, yeah, culture, yeah, not so important. It's like number 47 on our priority list. Nobody's going to say that. I think everybody understands culture matters. It's really important. However, there's a knowing-doing gap. There's a difference between knowing that culture matters and actually being intentional about it, relentlessly intentional about it. So one of the things I stress, for example, and that's my last book, Hire, Inspire, and Fuel Their Fire, How to Recruit, Onboard, and Train New Employees to Live Your Culture Out Loud. You have to get your hiring right. Great organizations invest relentlessly in hiring people that will grow their culture, hiring people based on attitude and not just skill. They invest in their hiring, their training, and onboarding. So much starts there. But then it's a matter of being intentional, as I said, on an ongoing basis. So making sure that every decision you make is looked at through that lens. How's this decision going to impact our culture, but also reflect the culture that we want. It's about making sure that your values, and you saw in my demo video there, I do the joke about how so many people treat their values like this. We put them on the little wall, the poster with the puppies and the unicorns and the rainbows. But of course, great leaders, great organizations understand that actions speak louder than words and talk is cheap. So you have to relentlessly bring your values to life. And I have to take a drink because I'm about to have a coughing fit here.
Well, while you're doing that, my friend, let me ask you the next question. And it's going to be a little bit, again, a bit out of left field again. So a bit of a surprise, perhaps. But So I know there's lots and lots of rave reviews on your website and whatnot, but the question I have for you is, of all of those reviews that are awesome and fantastic, is there one that stands out? I realize I'm asking you to pick your favorite child here, but is there one that sort of, as you think about it right now, and say, when I hear one of my audience members or my guests or my customers or whatever say that about me, that really just resonated with me. Is there one that you want to bring out, my friend?
No.
I'm
kidding.
You love
putting me on the spot. I don't know. There's so many, so I don't want to necessarily choose them, but I do. There is one. Let me see if we can find Gingers.
There you go.
Let me see if we can find Ginger. If you go to page maybe 2 or 3, there might be one from Ginger. Because Ginger was a real character. She was one of my favorite. If I am going to choose a favorite, she was a character, and it was just, she gave me the funniest.
Page 2, did you say? Yeah.
But I can't see her. But yeah, it.
Do you recall what the essence of it was? What made it kind of?
Yes, it was just so comical, the way her description of me, because I think she referenced things like how just ridiculously handsome I am, which is not a typical thing I get complimented on. It was just one of those over the top. She was such a delight to work with. It was down in South Carolina a day before a hurricane hit, and I got out on the last flight. So I remember the presentation too.
Yeah.
But the ones that of course I remember the most are the ones where you just know that you made a difference, and you hear it, which sounds so corny, so cliche, but it's why we're in the business. And the ones where you hear from where a year later they will circle back to you and say, wow, you have made such an enormous impact on us, and here's what we have done differently because of you. And then there's those really special moments that I will always remember. I did 3 weeks of training with a colleague from Banff in Iran many years ago, and we had 3 different groups that we were cycling through these multi-day presentations on leadership and culture and all that good stuff. And one of the groups was a little bit challenging, and one of the sessions I was doing actually turned into a little bit of a class revolt, where it just wasn't going over very well, and there were references to perhaps how we could all get imprisoned for talking about what I was talking about, which made me think, okay, well that's a new experience for me as a facilitator. So I decided to call an end to the session and said, let's just wrap things up here for now, for today, right? And I sweated bullets overnight. We had to do part 2 in the morning. And I thought, well, this isn't, this was not working. We need to figure out a plan B. So rather than carry on as I was, all we did was, it was a small group, 15, 20 people. We just did the old dirt simple thing of having everybody sit down in a circle and just talk about what the heck happened. What were people going? And at first it was painful. It was like pulling teeth. But then all of a sudden, this gentleman spoke up and he said, and this was after 10 minutes of trying to get them to say something. He said, I went home last night and something weird happened. My wife said, what's wrong with you? You're in a good mood. You're playing with the kids. You're laughing. Like, what's going on? And then another gentleman spoke up and said, me too. My wife said the same thing to me. And all of a sudden, that was just a little turning point where the conversation started to flow. And all of a sudden, it went from one of the worst moments in my professional career to one of the most rewarding conversations I've ever been a part of, where we, for a good, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour maybe, debriefed and got into this really honest, great conversation about culture and workplace culture. And it was just so cool to be part of something like that.
Fantastic. I want to bring out a couple of things. First thing I want to bring out is that just like a rock star who's been in the kind of music or performing business for, let's say, 20, 30 years, pick your rock star, doesn't matter. I'm sure they had some kind of painful moments along the way in their career, and they survived it, and they learned from it, and they made the best out of it, and they lived on. That's why we know them as rock stars. They didn't quit right after that. Right. And the second thing I want to point out is that I think you highlighted how when we are kind of working with the really low point of any group, we have the ability to build them up in a way that would not be possible if we together were not at that low point. In other words, fighting through some painful stuff is a great way to build a future, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Dune. I love that. Totally agree.
As they say, tear it down before you build it up sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Start from scratch.
Yeah. Cool. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to maybe... in terms of your training site, did you want to look in any particular page in your training site? As I want to make sure people know where that is. It's all under mikekerr.com, but it's actually training.mikekerr.com.
Right, but they can find the link there under my mothership site.
Oh, wonderful. It's just mikekerr.com.
Yeah, it's all in there.
Yeah, let me just put it up here just so that we have even the mothership here. Let's just... tell me if I got this right as I put it on the screen here. Is that the correct?
MikeKerr.com, that is it.
That's right. Wonderful. So now Lynn has another comment here that I want to says, amen to that. How many times have you read online reviews of a company where the comments are largely about culture and either good or bad? So culture, as they say, I don't know who said it first, but it's been said that, culture will eat strategy for breakfast every day of the week. So one of your props could be breakfast, my friend, like that's oatmeal, right? You bring oatmeal on the screen, on the stage, and you can talk about how culture eat strategy for breakfast.
I think that was Peter Drucker, but
yeah,
it's true. I've interviewed hundreds of leaders all over the globe, and one of the questions I always make a point of asking them, so you folks are phenomenally successful here. What's driven your success more, your culture or your strategy? I think 98% easily have said, oh, it's our culture. Our culture. As one CEO put it to me, he said, Mike, you can have the most rocking business idea, strategic plan in the world, but if the plan might be here, but if your culture's here, if your team's down here, if you don't have the right team in place, chances are that idea or that strategy isn't going to go anywhere. Conversely, you could have a mediocre strategy, but if you've got the right team in place, you can make that baby soar. Culture is everything. It is your number one competitive advantage that you can control. And when we talk about employee engagement, I talk about how, or customer service, because it affects that as well, right? That somebody down the road here could always undercut you on price. And somebody down the road in this direction could always pay your employees perhaps a little bit more. You're never going to win just on the money arms race. Where you are going to win, where you are going to stand out from the herd to be heard, is through your culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thanks for sharing that. Tell us, as we round the corner on the hour here, I know you have another appointment. You're busy. You got your places to go, people to see. My people had to call your people, and they had to talk to HR, and eventually you got on here. But before we end our hour, my friend,
sorry, let me just interrupt that though, Dune, for a moment. With the pandemic going on, I don't really have places plural to go. This is the place I go.
There you go. So as you need to wrap up here, my friend, tell us, are there aspects of your work and what it is that you want to talk about that we haven't covered yet that you want to get to?
Well, I think we've covered a lot of it. One thing that folks can also find on my website, though, that is rather new, that I'm excited about, is with my esteemed mastermind colleagues, 3 other colleagues who all talk in different. We all have slightly different areas of expertise, but we decided to kind of take our masterminding public. So we started this thing called Every Other Wednesdays, and it's totally free to join in. Every other Wednesday, our next one is September 9th. We talk about a different aspect of workplace culture. 45 minutes. We have lots of people who have joined us and have raved about the experience. We get lots of questions in the chat box about culture, so it's very interactive. We sometimes have guests. We sometimes have live animals. No, we've never had live animals, but I'm hoping we will. And we just focus on a different culture topic every other Wednesday. Hence the name of our group, Every Other Wednesday. And our informal title is the Culture Club. Only we don't have Boy George with us. We are kind of the Culture Club. So that's kind of a fun project that I've been enjoying as well. Just to in a very casual way, just talk about culture and have sometimes good debates. We don't always agree with each other in our group, so we'll debate different aspects of culture. And
now let me ask you, when you were naming that as Every Other Wednesday, did the thought pass your mind that you might name it Every Other Hump Day?
we did. We thought we should stay away from Hump Day for a number of reasons. Okay. We also thought once we named it that we should do it on Wednesdays. Seemed a little weird to me, but okay.
So where might they find that on your website? You mentioned that it's on your website, or no, not yet?
Yeah, it is. You'd find a link at the very bottom, but people can find it or reach out to me. The website, I can say the website to you right now. It is www.eowednesday.com.
Okay.
Everyotherwednesday.com. And people can register there. And if you can't make the live event, you can still, if you register, watch a recording of the event.
Wow, I think I have it here. Is this the right one, my friend? Yeah, looks like it.
That's it.
There you go. The magic of
the illustrious group. We had a few episodes. Well, we talked about a jerk-free workplace a few episodes ago. We talked about customer experience this last one. 3 episodes ago, we had Camille Washington, who is the head of culture for FedEx. So that was a fascinating conversation. So
I'm waiting for one where you invite Boy George to join you. That would be
wouldn't that be awesome? I actually want us all to do a Boy George contest where we all dress like Boy George and see who nails that.
Or just give them a parameter that's just come dress as a chameleon of some sort.
We should.
How many different versions of chameleon people come up with?
That would be awesome.
So wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing all of these stories and insights. And tell us, I'm going to ask you a few more questions.
Yeah.
If somebody who maybe is new to the speaking business and new to training and whatnot, and they're looking for you on sort of pearls of wisdom or sage advice, what might be 1 or 2 or 3 things you might want to kind of impart on them as they go on their journey of speaking or training?
As a new speaker?
Let's say new or emerging or developing speaker who is hasn't maybe landed their sort of firm foot on the career yet, maybe the developing.
Right. First thing is I would develop your expertise. Know what your expertise is. Know what your niche is. Mm-hmm. Don't go searching for a topic. If you're going to be successful, you've got to be an expert who speaks. So start there. Dune, as you know, we are members of something called the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, aka CAPS, and CAPS has a wonderful online training program for new or emerging speakers. So I would totally invite new emerging speakers to take advantage of that, because there is a wealth of great information in that online course. And signing up for that online course also gets you access to our wonderful CAPS chapter meetings at the membership rate. So that's another opportunity. And if you're getting into just the business of speaking, my number one advice is just get out there and speak. Find every and any opportunity you can to put kilometers under your speaking belt. You've got to just speak and speak and speak. It's just like, if you want to become a good writer, write. If you want to become a good speaker, speak.
Mm-hmm. So for our folks who are maybe in the US, your advice would be modified a little bit, where you say, just get all of the miles under your belt, not kilometers. So
I changed it at the last second in my mind, Dune, for the Canadian audience here, to be more Canadian.
Yeah. So thank you. Now, I must say, I'm going to. Well, you've been deeply involved in CAPS for how many years have you been in CAPS?
I'm almost a lifer. I'm over 20 years now. I joined shortly after the founding of CAPS.
Yeah, and you've been president of CAPS National.
Correct.
The mothership, if you will. And
that was a great experience and a fun experience. I was so fortunate to have just the most innovative, fun group of people to hang out with on the board. I'm now in the position of past president, also known as has-been. So I'll be stepping off the board in a few short months here, but I'm going to miss everybody, because it was such a great, rewarding opportunity and such a great chance to meet or get to know better so many cool people across our country.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yeah. And so thank you for all of your contribution and service to our association here. I, as a newbie, I've been with CAPS for only 10 years, and it's been 10 wonderful years of attending every CAPS convention every year. Now, this year is going to be online, and was going to be in Calgary in person, but it's going to be online. But Calgary is going to have it next year, I understand.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks, COVID.
Yes. Way to go, COVID.
Way to go, COVID.
Way to go.
Way to go. So, my friend,
yes.
This is what I like to do. I'm going to be a passenger, and you're going to be in the driver's seat. Take us out. You can take as long as you want. If you say, heck with the next meeting, I'm going to keep on yakking for another 15 minutes, feel free to do that. But I respect your time. So take us out, my friend.
I will. Hey, first of all, Dune, thank you so much for this. Your generosity is just fabulous. You are not a newbie in CAPS. You've been there 10 years, and you do go to every convention. So it's awesome to get to meet people like you. So thank you very much for for this opportunity. It's been great. I want to remind people of my central message here when I talk to audiences is that, again, I'm going to sound like a cheesy motivational speaker here for a moment, but life is really short. And this thing called work, which is my primary focus, consumes a heck of a lot of that thing called life. It affects our mental and physical health, our marriages, our family life. It affects our identity. It affects who we hang out with, where you live often. I mean, how else can you explain Regina, right? Don't write me bad letters. And it's a wee bit of a time sucker. So I think we owe it to the people we work with, we owe it to our families, we owe it to our souls, to our employees, to our customers to create a rocking, truly inspiring workplace that drives great results. And to enjoy the journey. And here's what I'd say, a really simple thought, but even if adding more humor into everything you do in your life, in your work, doesn't give you all the benefits that I talk about it does, what would you rather have? The same level of success in life and less fun, or the same level of success and a little bit more fun? Seems like a no-brainer to me. And with that, I have to go to my next meeting.
All right.
Thank you, dude.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
You bet. You've been listening to Mr. Michael Kerr, and wonderful. We'll talk to you later, my friend.
Thank you so much, dude.